Today, we're going to learn all of these pentatonic scale shape patterns in one sitting, no problem. First off, learning anything takes effort. And when it's given to you in a form like this, that, well, number one, I find it very difficult to read. And as soon as you start sliding, you lose all the keys. And it's only for pentatonic. And you didn't do anything. It's been handed to you. Just like a sheet like this is just handed to you. You have done nothing to learn it. They're great reference material, but this is not going to help you learn. If you want to learn something, you have to do something to learn. You got to put in the effort. So that's where the Fretboard Escalator comes in. We've got three components: the Fretboard Escalator, circle of fifth style, the chord and lead generator. Today, we're going to learn all of these pentatonic scale shape patterns in one sitting, no problem. And so all we need for that is the view of just the Fretboard Escalator. So pentatonic scale shape patterns, they have 5 notes. Now, the patterns are either major or minor. We're not going to worry about that right now. We're going to memorize the patterns, and in the next steps, this is kind of day 1. The next day, we're going to locate root notes, and then we're going to play through the pattern. And then we'll take the next pattern available. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by just placing this pattern. Okay, so this, you can place it in a whole bunch of different ways. That is another great way about this. So you may have seen this pattern, I'm sure you have before. This is what someone would call possibly the minor pentatonic scale shape 1. I do not call them by those names because there's enough numbers in this system. Roman numerals for chord progressions, for intervals, for all of those things. Let's forget that. We're going to call this the bass. This is your bass position. So you've got one position memorized down. It's essentially just a visual that you have to get into your head. And the way to do that is to do it. So do you do it again? If you can't do it without looking at a reference chart, you don't know it. So don't pick up your guitar. So I kind of built that one from top to the bottom. What I'm going to do is build it a little bit differently, just to challenge my brain. I'm going to go all the way down the left side and then force myself to do the right side. This is how you learn. You learn by doing. You don't learn by grabbing a PDF. You don't learn by watching someone else do it. You learn by doing, making mistakes, possibly getting frustrated. If you're frustrated, you're learning. And I'm learning a lot because I'm frustrated a lot. Actually, I was frustrated until I got this tool. I invented this tool. This is a Fretboard Escalator. I'm Steve. musiclabs.ca is my website. This is pattern 1. I call it the bass. Forget about major or minor. We haven't located a root note. So we got 1 down. Now, from here, we build extensions. We don't bother with entire full patterns just yet till we grab our guitar. I'm going to extend to the left with a pattern that I call the 2s. I've called it the 2s up until now, but then I realized I'm kind of being a hypocrite because I said I hate numbers, right? I'm going to start calling this the twins. Maybe you can figure out why I call it the twins. So here's our bass pattern, right? That's our typical standard pentatonic bass shape. And then here's why I call the twins, because when you extend to the left, you've got 2, 2, and 2. There's the twins, or the 2s. I'm going to call it the twins from now on. Let me know in the comments if you'd rather hear 2s, which can get confusing with the second intervals or the second chord or the chord progression or all things like that. I prefer twins. So these are the twins. We've got our bass and we extend to the left with the twins. 2s, 2s, and 2s, right? Look, we got half the fretboard done already. This is easy. You can memorize this and you're going to test yourself. That's the beauty of this system, because you're going to test yourself and you're going to know if you can do it or not straight away. I'm going to grab a couple more pegs here. Now we're going to extend to the right. The shape to the right I call the house. Why? Because the house of blues, the famous house of blues is here. And there's the peak of the house and there's the other wall of the house. So if you start by building that as part of your extension, kind of the rest of it falls into place. Because all you have to do is bring this line all the way up to the top from that House of Blues wall. Okay, so now we have the bass, we have the twins extension, we have the bass, we have the House of Blues extension. Maybe you want to call that the House of Blues extension. So if you were to start looking at these as complete separate box patterns. There's a box, and there's a box, and there's a box. But we're going to look at it as extensions. It's far easier. So what do we got? We've got 2 extensions to the base, an extension to the left, and an extension to the right. We've got almost the entire fretboard done and completed. How amazing is that? I'm missing some white pegs. I'm going to dig some out of here. Okay, so what we're going to do is extend to the right from the house. And this is what I call the mirror. There's nothing down this line. I call that the mirror line. And if I start placing pegs in here down that mirror line, all I got to do is just keep going over. It's 2 over from there. Notice these things and pay attention to them. If I'm playing in this mirror shape, it's kind of a flip side of the left. So I'm going to cover this up. If you flip this over, it's a mirror except this one peg. Okay, so we want to continue with this mirror pattern. As I come down here, these are all in a row, except one is off to the right, and it's just 1 string different from that one. Otherwise, it would be a perfect mirror. So I just gave it a name. I called it the mirror pattern. Here's the mirror line, and it's flipped over. You can call it Bob. It doesn't matter. These pattern names were just made up arbitrarily. People call them pentatonic shape 1, a minor pentatonic shape 1, a major pentatonic shape 5. That's just more numbers to get confused by. Let's just remember the patterns for now. So what have we got? We have got the bass, right? Everybody knows it. We've got an extension to the left, which I'll call the twins, 2, 2, and 2. We have got an extension to the right, which is the other side of our house of blues. So if we cover this up, all we're doing is adding these, the peak and the walls of the house of blues, which is also the left side of the mirror, what I call the mirror shape. Okay, so just in a few minutes, we've built the entire pentatonic scale shape pattern across the fretboard. So what do you do now? So you say, Steve, how am I couldn't possibly remember that in one evening. Absolutely you can, because now that you've done it once, you take them all out and you do it again. My kids, ages 14 and 16, I showed them once. I described things to them exactly how I described to you. I said, this is the bass. These are the twins. This is the house, and this is the mirror. Bass, twins, house, mirror gets you the entire pentatonic scale shape pattern across the fretboard in that key. That being said, between the mirror and the twins, when they join as you shift things down, there is another shape which I couldn't think of a name for. So as a joke, I called it the Rumpelstiltskin while I tried to think of a name. And you know what? That's what I still call it, because I can't think of a name. So it is the Rumpelstiltskin shape. Again, the names of the shape mean absolutely nothing, except it helps you remember visually what it is. I call the bass only because a lot of people also call it the bass pattern. So again, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to build this shape. I'm going to build these patterns. And now I'm building them shape by shape and then building with extensions. But you can also challenge yourself. Let's say on day 1, I was telling you the story about my kids. So my 14 and 16-year-old, I showed them how to do it. I taught them exactly the way I'm saying it right now. And that evening, they were able to do it after just being shown once. Now I thought, okay, we had one correction to make. My daughter needed one correction and my son didn't need any. But I thought, okay, well, the real test will be, can they remember it in the morning? So the next day, after school, after their brains had been fried, I brought them down and I said, can you build it across the fretboard again? And they loved the challenge. They just jumped to it. So my son, no problem, he got it. And my daughter, who was 14, had one minor correction I had to make. So I thought that was pretty darn good. And your kids can do it, which means you can do it. Kids may be like little sponges. Here I've just done the twins. Now I'm doing the House of Blues. They're little sponges, but you know what they lack? What they lack what grown-ups have, which is actual determination and dedication. You actually want to do this. You want to learn this. So you have an advantage. Don't think your brain is mush just because you're 50 or 60 or 70 or 80. Your brain still works. I'm missing a peg. That's okay. Oh, I dropped one. Okay. So there we have it again. I've just built it across. And then what do? You take it out again. And now here's your challenge. Can you build it? We've just built it what I'll call vertically, top to bottom. Build it bottom to top. Build it left to right. Build it string by string. If you can do all these things, when you go to pick up your guitar, you will be able to literally visualize that in your playing. So I'm pulling them all out again. It doesn't take long. And you know what? If it does take you a while and it gets you frustrated, what did I say at the beginning? Did I mention it? Frustration equals learning. You got to be a little bit frustrated. It's got to be a little bit challenging. Or do you really think you're going to learn something if it's not challenging at all? So I could start on the left, for example. Here's the left side of my twins. And I could start going to the right, challenging myself. Can I do this? Can I do this? Whoopsie. See, I put the one in the wrong spot. But I immediately saw that I had it in the wrong spot because it's a visual and a tactile thing, right? Okay, so now where's my next one going to be? Okay, twos, twos, twos. So I'm going here now. And I've done this in a different key. What am I doing? See, I've done it wrong. I've never actually done it this way before. I've lost my mind. 2, 2, and 2, and they're 2 back. Yes, of course. See? The pressure got to me. Okay, so, oh yeah, I was supposed to go left to right completely. So this is just a straight line. John Mayer calls this the equator. Whatever, sure. I don't know why. I call it, it'd be the left side of the bass. Boy, I really had a brain fart there. I was trying to build, I don't know what I was trying to build. I think it was actually right. I just didn't commit. So I'm going to keep building to the right. Now the next line would be here. So slowly I'm building this to the right. Challenge yourself. You can make this as hard as you want. You know what I thought would also be fun is if you want to really visualize this, close your eyes. So I know how to build the house. What I'm going to do, I'm going to close my eyes and I'm not going to cheat. So I'm going to feel, my gosh, I think I grabbed the wrong fretboard escalator. I'm going to feel around and see if I can actually figure out where I am. So can I find the equator? There's the equator. I'm visualizing the equator here. Okay, and now to the right, I know I'm going to have 2. That's the left side of the wall, right? So then the right side of the wall of the House of Blues is going to be 1 fret over, and then there would be 2 pegs here. 2 here and 1 there. Let's see if I'm right. Yep. Oh, no, see, I didn't feel far enough over. So, I mean, what a crazy challenge. Blindfold challenge. See if you, I've never done it. I've never done it, but I always thought it would be cool. Anyway, in the interest of time's sake, I'm going to keep plugging these in. But all these games you could think of, or get a friend who can fill in the pentatonic scale fastest. Of course, it doesn't just work for pentatonic scales. You can do this for the full major scale. Here is the full major scale laid out with intervals shown. You can then modify that to any scale, any mode you want. You can do, obviously, the minor scale. You can do Mixolydian. But you know what? Honestly, if you're playing rock, major scale, blues scale, minor scale, Mixolydian, you're done. That's pretty much all you need. That's all I need, that's for sure. Everybody wants to learn different things, but for me, that's where I kind of end. So there we go. We got the pentatonic scale shape, again, across the fretboard. You can do this in one evening. I should probably shorten this video way up. But what I would do next, so that there's no reason why that isn't enough for you to be able to learn it and remember it. And then grab your guitar and start playing the scale shapes. But another really good challenge is, can you build it, for example, across the top string without seeing the entire pattern there? This is actually pretty challenging. It's a lot more challenging than you might think. So I remember my twins started here. This is a twin pattern, which was 2 here, 2 here, and 2 here. Then I remember that I had to start my regular bass 2 over from there. I remember that. And my bass pattern had 2 frets between before I hit this B. And now I know that my House of Blues pattern had a space and then and then that guy, right? So now if I think down here, my house of blues is there, and then that would mean this is the beginning of the left side of my mirror. So my mirror would be blank here, and my right side of my mirror would have started right there. And that's it. So that is actually the pentatonic scale shape across the one string. So now I would then say, okay, let's keep going. What's the next string? So my next string, I remember that was my twins. This is the left side of my bass, or the line of the equator if you're John Mayer-esque. And then 2 frets over. Now the shapes start getting easier because I know I can start visualizing that shape in my head. Okay, I know the twins over here were 2 frets to the left. I know that this equator here from John Mayer is there. I know the other side of my house shape was 2 frets over. And then I've got a single fret between for my mirror pattern. And then here's my other twin. So we're going string by string. It's a different way to do it, a different way to learn. There's my equator. Okay, and here's the peak of my house of blues coming up. Right there. That's also the left side of the mirror. It's going to be there. Now I've got the other twins. Let's see if I get this right here. First go. And then here's the bottom half of my equator. Okay. And then now we've got the left side of the house on the house of blues. Oops, I just I cheated. I went and filled the last line in. It doesn't matter. There's the right side of the mirror, right? Okay, come back down here, finish up that wall for the house of blues, and finish up the bottom side of this mirror. Now let's take a peek and see if we got it right. There's my bass. There's my twins. There's my house of blues. And there's my mirror. Perfect. So, and as you may or may not know, with the Fretboard Escalator, you can change keys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a root note in here. I'm going to say that this is the key of B major. That would be B major, relative key of G sharp minor. So for now, let's call this a G sharp minor, putting my root note there on G sharp. Now I want to make this A minor. All I do is take a block from here, slide it over, and we get that root note over top the A. Because it is in that position of the pentatonic scale, that means it's a minor. If it was over here, it would mean it's a major. So this is the key of C major pentatonic. This is the key of A minor pentatonic. Did you notice all the notes were the same? That's a relative key. Make sure my video is still working, right? If I grab a circle of fifths dial and we pop back to our double video, and I turn this into the key of A minor, which I'm going to turn that A until it goes to the lowercase Roman numeral. Lowercase Roman numerals mean minor. Inside circle on the circle of fifths dial is minor. Outside is major. A minor is the same notes as C major. A minor is the same notes. Let's go back. If I take this and I tell the root to be C, it is a C major pentatonic scale. All right, in the next ones, we are going to break each section up, each pattern up, add the root notes, and we're just going to play through each one. And that's how we're going to practice. Then we're going to add the extensions, and then you're going to start expanding it out, and you're going to be able to play it. So there you go. My kids took 1 hour to learn it, and they remembered it the next day. Will they remember it forever? No, probably not. They'll need to do it a couple of times. But I just did that 4 or 5 times, and it's ingrained it even more in my head. I even made a mistake or two. If you don't make mistakes, you're not learning. So don't worry about making mistakes. And you can grab your paper if you really need a reference, which you probably should. Grab one of these. You know, I don't have a download because I think paying for PDF downloads, you pay someone else. Or just grab it off the internet and check your work. Check your pentatonic scale shape pattern work. All right, so check out my Kickstarter for the Fretboard Escalator. The Circle of Fifths dial you can actually buy on Amazon right now if you're in the US. But other than that, sign up to my page, get email alerts for cool things and videos. I do have a TikTok. You can see me there live. But other than that, or you can send me a message and say hi. Okay, on to the next day.